segments of the world kind of banding together. And as we see with some deterioration in our relationship with China and what China's trying to do with regard to Russia, I think it's maybe putting a spotlight on some of those alliances that are forming. They're happening for reasons other than just the war.
Greg, what about from your point of view for fixed income? Are we seeing a different regime going forward for investors?
I think we are. I think we've already entered the new regime where central banks are no longer at investors' beck and call. They're fighting a different problem. That's inflation. I also think geopolitical risk is a new secular theme. This is just one avenue, just one part of the puzzle around geopolitics, and I think that has to be embedded in risk premium. So I look at the market today versus a year ago, a year and a half ago, and I think it's a very different place. And the geopolitical landscape is very different, and investors have been paid to ignore it for years and years and years, and I don't think that's the case going forward.
Listen, and one last one to you from your point of view. Are we looking at a new world of higher prices, and not just because of energy and the disruption of energy because of Ukraine, but also some of the disruption or change, at least in globalization in labor markets?
I think we're in a secular environment of more volatility in inflation, in commodity prices, in geopolitics. And I think that, the era of the great moderation, I think, is definitively over. That was the era of abundant access to cheap goods, cheap energy, cheap labor, and that those ships have sailed. And in particular, demographics, I think, is reshaping this next secular phase here, and it's just not going to look like the 20 years pre-pandemic.
Do you agree with that, Greg?
I do indeed. That's just one of the many secular shifts, so I definitely agree with that thematic.
Okay, thank you both very much for being back with us. Next time, I promise we'll do Boogie, Oogie, Oogie together. Many thanks to Liz Ann Saunders of Charles Schwab and Greg Peters of PGIM. Coming up, we're going to talk with Bob Diamond of Atlas Merchant Capital about what the crypto scandals have meant for digital payments and blockchain. That's coming up next on Wall Street Week on Bloomberg.
Now, your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
It's going to be generally clear, bit breezy, and certainly cold tonight. Low temperature midtown between 20 and 25 centimes out in the suburbs. For Saturday, partly sunny to occasionally cloudy and mid-30s. At night, some scattered clouds around 30, partly sunny, much warmer on Sunday near 50. And then Monday, a chance of afternoon snow and rain and around 40. This is meteorologist Gary Best with your 3-day weather forecast here on Bloomberg 1130.
This commercial's just a minute, but sometimes that's all it takes. I'm Frank Calamari, president of Calvary Hospital, a hospital unlike any other. Calvary provides extra special care to people living with very complex medical needs, with cancer, heart, kidney failure, COPD, and other serious illnesses. Loving, compassionate, expert care in our hospital or in your home relieves their pain and improves quality of life. And not just for the person who's sick. We also care for families and loved ones, because we know they need comfort too. If you or someone you love is facing a life-limiting illness, take a minute and talk to us about Calvary Care, our 123-year tradition of compassion, caring, commitment, dignity, and non-abandonment. Call 718-518-2000 for the extra special care you need, or visit calvaryhospital.org. Calvary Hospital, where life continues.
This is Wall Street Week. I'm David Weston. The promise of digital transformation of finance has excited investors for years now, with particular attention given recently to blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and yes, the prospects of regulation. Bob Diamond's Atlas Merchant Capital has been an early adopter and investor, and we welcome him back now to Wall Street Week. Great to have you here, Bob. Thank you for joining us. Bring us up to speed on where we are, on blockchain, on digital finance, where we are, because there have been some bumps along the road. I mean, there have been some scandals along the road. Some people have lost some money. Is it slowing things down?
Not really. I mean, I think in many ways, FTX and many of the other issues that we've had to deal with over the last year have definitely had an impact. Crypto is a very broad term, but I think of the space really as more around technology. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to have a digital version of the U.S. dollar. It just makes sense. There's no doubt in my mind that blockchain technology will continue to be implemented in most of the big financial institutions. It makes things faster. It makes them cheaper. And in this day and age, having a digital version of the U.S. dollar or most major fiat currencies just makes total sense.
As an investor in these, I'm curious, how much of that is consumer-facing and how much of that is, as it were, in the plumbing?
Yeah.
You can have the banks use the blockchain for their transactions and things. You have the Fed do that. That's different from selling it to the public.
Well, as you know, we've been an early investor in Circle, which is U.S. digital coin. And that's very much business to business. It's about the large institutional payments, which traditionally, have gone from bank to bank, and you and I have waited 2 or 3 days to have those types of transactions